In this session, we're going to get into fitting text to a path in CorelDRAW. A couple of different options, a couple of different ways to do this, and some properties that we'll want to pay attention to in the properties bar relating to how we fit our text to a path. Got a design here we're going to do some work with. Actually, this graphic is available at artamp.com for free. You can download this, work along with the tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and start with just the basics or the fundamentals of fitting text to a path. So I've already set up a circle here, or an ellipse, and I've got some text set up as fit text to path. A couple of different ways we can actually go about fitting our text to a path, and really I like to work with my right mouse click a lot, and you'll notice that if I right click and hold down and drag this text on top of the ellipse, you'll see my cursor change to what looks like crosshairs there. If I release, I'll have an option for fit text to path. Once the text is fit to the path, I can actually take this and hold it down and drag it around and change the way that text has been applied to the path. You'll also notice that our properties bar changed again, and now we have our properties bar text on curve/object. And you'll notice that in this properties bar there are some settings. I can change my font, I can change the size of my font, I can also change the properties of my font, character formatting, italic, bold, etc. I can also come over here, left click, and change the way in which this text is applied to this path. See, the text stays straight, but it's still on the arch. If I change it this way, it doesn't look very good, but the text is arranged differently, and the same here. Now, what we'll want to be aware of with these settings is I can also see how far the distance is from my actual object, and I can see here my horizontal offset. Now, I can also see that this is still interactive. As long as I've got it selected, you'll see that the information in the properties bar will update. Now, if I want to apply my text to the bottom of my path, I can bring it down here to the bottom of my ellipse, and you'll see now it's applied here at the bottom. But I'll need to change my mirroring of my text because right now it reads backwards, and I might want it to read the other way. And if I come over here and click on mirror vertically, that'll change that going the other direction. If I change mirror horizontally, now my text is legible on the bottom of my ellipse or the path that I've selected. Go ahead and put this properties bar back up here. And we want to look at a couple of different things here relating to our pick tool and our shape tool. You need to pay close attention right here because we're going to go over something here that's very important, but it only works under certain circumstances. If I click off here, select this text, and click on this so that I have this all selected, you'll notice that when I click on my text, I end up with my ellipse and my text selected. If I try to resize here dynamically, it's going to change the size of everything. But if I go to my shape tool and then come down and click on my text from my shape tool so that I've got all of my nodes selected here, you'll notice with my nodes, I can lasso my nodes and move based on the nodes, those little black rectangles next to my text. I can move my text along the path that way. I can also left click over here on this little arrow with the handles. Hold down my left mouse button, drag that to the right, and change the spacing between my text or my fonts. And I can left click, pull back to the left, and make that even tighter. But while I have this selected with my shape tool, if I go back to my pick tool, you'll notice that the same handles that I have on basic objects appear on my text. And with those basic handles, I can left click and change the size of my text or my font, but still stay on my path, as you can see there. Left click and change down. Now it does change the spacing a little bit, but you'll notice that if I click off this and click on my text again, the only thing I get selected is everything. But if I take my shape tool, click on my text, then go back to my pick tool, I'll have those handles I have for objects, as you can see there. So we want to be aware of our properties bar when we're working with this fit text to path. Now, there's two different ways to do this, and I'm going to hit Control Z and we'll go back to where the text was above our object. We can go with a right click and hold down until we get fit text to path, or we can go to text and select fit text to path, and then we'll be able to see where our text is going to go based on the object. But what can happen is, if we're working with a very complex graphic, I'm going to hit Control Z here. I'm going to zoom out and we'll come in here to our very busy graphic with a lot of vector lines and nodes. And I'm going to select my fitting text to a path. I'm going to go to text and select fit to path. What can happen is if I'm trying to get into something down here with this, you can see Corel will choke because there's just too many vector objects in here. We'll probably lose this text when we click off. So many times we want to go to that right click so that we don't have this problem. You can see how long this is all taking to refresh and everything as Corel's sorting its way through these hundreds of objects, vector lines, and nodes that are all throughout this area with this interactive tool, and it's changing position of this based on where we are. I'm going to left click and my text will probably disappear or won't be applied to my object. So the reason why I like to go with that right click, especially if I'm in a complex vector graphic, is I'll be able to select the object and apply it without going through trying to weed my way through all of these different vector objects while I'm trying to fit my text to a path. And you can see this just didn't work. So I'm going to hit Control Z. So what I'll do is if I wanted to say put my text inside of this banner, go ahead and grab my Bezier tool. I'm just going to create a line here inside of this banner that goes along the shape of the banner. Then I'm going to create some text. I'm just going to type in free art, as you can see here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click here and change my font. Then I'm going to go ahead and right click on this and drag this over. Now you see I'm not getting into all these problems with Corel trying to select all these different objects. When my cursor changes, on top of that line I'll release and select fit text to path. Now my text is applied to my line as free art. Now I want to move this over to the right just a bit, so I'll go ahead and lasso all of these nodes and move this over free art. And I might want to change the spacing. I'll grab these arrows, left click, hold down, pull that out. Now that was a little bit too much. We want to bring that back just a bit, and we'll do the same here and make some adjustments. Or I could actually come in and click on individual letters based on the nodes, left click here and move this back just a bit. Do the same with the letter R, left click, hold down. Now I'm working with my shaping tool and not my pick tool, as you can see here. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this line. So what I'll do is I'll right click on that and just come down and select delete, and that'll get rid of that line. Now I have free art tucked right into my banner. Next thing I want to do is add artamp.com up here at the top, so I'll create an ellipse here across the top, right about the shape that I want, and I'll go ahead and select this text up here. I'll just highlight this, and we'll go with our text tool over here from the toolbar. Left click, hold down, drag across till it's all selected. I'll just type in www.artamp.com. And I want to put this across here at the top at an ellipse. Now if I want it to be bigger, I could change the size of it. Before I do it, left click on these handles here and hold down. Now right click, come down till my cursor changes on top of my ellipse, release. Now I wasn't there that time so it didn't work. Left click, now I got it, fix text to path. As you can see here, I'll go ahead and right click here on my ellipse and select delete. That gets rid of that. I'll give this a white fill. I'll go to my object properties here, come over to my outline properties, and we'll make this 2 millimeters and click on behind fill. And now this is on a different layer, so I want to right click on this and select order and to front of page, and now we've got that set up. So I've set up my artamp.com across the top and my free art inside of my banner. So that's how we work with fitting text to path, and a couple of the pitfalls we want to be aware of when we're working with complex vector objects or vector graphics. We'll want to go with that right click, but if we're doing something simple, we can always go up with the text and select fit to path out of the menu bar.